We are privileged to meet on unceded and ancestral territories of the Squamish and Cotton Nation. And with that, we have an presentation. The agenda, the amended agenda. And yeah, second for that. Rachel, all those in favor? And that's good. Just for our guests, so we have two trustees, just so you know that we have two trustees that were online. We have some another recommendation for minutes. The minutes of the board meeting held on December 11th, 2024 be adopted. Cynthia, second for that. Rachel, all those in favor? Carried. And I have one. We got our summer minutes of the board meeting on December the 11th. Thank you, Rachel. All those in favor? That brings us to our announcements. So, chairperson remarks first. Not too much that I am able to report on. There's been some camera items that I've been addressing in the last month since our last meeting. However, I really hope that everyone is able to get some family time, some downtime in over the winter break, and excited to be back at it again. So I think I will leave it there.
Okay. Any trustee remarks? Lisa?
Yeah, I'd like to put out an amazing shout out to Howe Sound Secondary School. I was invited to attend the gala, and I got to dress all foo-foo and was well looked after with my belly and my ears. The culinary team did an outstanding job, and I was informed that they're also open for lunch some days of the week. So that may be a nice trip to go pick up lunch. It was absolutely astounding. The desserts were incredible. The students were all very proud and did a great job. The musicians were out of this world, and Fran, their music instructor, was dressed to the nines in her gala garb, and they had a very, from my perspective, they had a very great silent auction to help some of our musicians fund their trips, and it was a great time. It didn't seem like it was going to end, and it was absolutely amazing. So very well done.
Thank you, Lisa. Then I have Celeste and then Cynthia.
Thanks so much, Rebecca. I just have a couple things to report out on. So the first thing is I'd like to give a quick Vancouver Coastal Health report on mental health resources and highlight a free program called Bounce Back, which can be easily accessed on your phone or computer. You can find the link by Googling Bounce Back BC. That's 3 separate words. And it's a program that's been supported by multiple organizations, including the Provincial Health Services Authority and the British Columbia arm of the Canadian Mental Health Association. Bounce Back is an empowering and practical way of learning key life skills that can boost your mood and help you get through difficult experiences using resources based on proven cognitive behavioral therapy approaches. And it's something that I find is good for using with kids. I've tried using it with mine, just going through some of the material with them. And so I can attest to it being a really high quality resource that is, again, 100% free. The second thing that I'd like to report out on is that DPAC met on December 16th. I continue to be impressed by the level of engagement that parents are bringing to the work, and encourage parents to consider serving on their PACs and becoming DPAC reps. At our last meeting, we discussed the school district's disability committee, the school district's recently published accessibility survey, and policy 505 on physical restraint and exclusion. We also did an update on brand new policies, and it's just a really great forum for exchanging information between PACs and the school district. Presently, Blackwater Creek, Statmas, and Whistler Secondary need DPAC reps. So if you're interested in volunteering with your PAC, please consider stepping up, serving on the PAC, and then serving as a DPAC rep. It's wonderful work, and it's a really great group of people that they have doing the work right now. Thank you.
Celeste, Cynthia?
Great, thank you, Rebecca. I just wanted to let everyone know that in the summer of 2026, the Canadian School Board Association is going to be hosting their conference in Whistler. And I've been asked to be on the working group for that conference, which is coming up, and that we have had our first meeting and plans are well underway. And it looks like it's going to be a really exciting lineup of speakers and learning opportunities. So I'll keep everyone posted. More to come.
It's fantastic. Thank you, Cynthia. Okay, any other trustees? Okay, seeing none, then that brings us to our superintendent's remarks.
Great, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I do have a few things to share. First of all, of course, Happy New Year from all staff as well. Welcome back, the students, other staff, of course, and families. We too hope everyone had a great winter break. And as we begin the new year, it seems fitting that Corey Hartling, who's the principal at Statmas School, has shared how they are incorporating the powerful practice of Circle. And they begin each day in Circle as a whole school community to remind everyone of the 3 core values that guide them in their work together. And as folks probably know, Statmas School is a school with a focus on Squamish culture and language, and it also supports the Learning Expeditions program. So it's a beautiful thing how they're incorporating Squamish ways in their daily practice. The 3 core values are Chin Chin Sway, which means together we hold each other up. This value emphasizes the importance of community, support, and collaboration in their school environment. The second value is Time It, which references the performance of something with all of one's might. And it's really a call to strive for excellence and to give their best in everything that they do. And the third value they incorporate is Wanathless, which means to carry oneself in a good way. And this value encourages all of them, and not just the kids, it's staff and every adult in the building, to be kind, respectful, and conduct themselves with integrity. In their circle, they share a song to help set a positive, uplifting tone and to start the week with a sense of unity and purpose that reminds them of the core work of sharing language and culture. And at the end of the week, they come together again in circle. And in this time, during that time, they reflect and share how they've embodied those values. And staff honors a student from each class who has led by demonstrating these values throughout the week. They close circle with another song, leaving them with a sense of closure and gratitude for the week that has passed, while reaffirming their shared commitment to living by these values moving forward. So I just thought, what a beautiful way to start the new year, and something I think we could all probably learn from. I also want to acknowledge that today, as we end the day, was Black Excellence Day. As a lead up to Black History Month in February, Black Excellence Day is an occasion dedicated to celebrating the remarkable achievements and invaluable contributions of Black individuals globally. It also serves as a moment of reflection on the ongoing pursuit of equality, equity, and justice for all marginalized communities, with a particular focus on the challenges faced by Black people everywhere. And to learn more, just a friendly reminder that whenever we reference these important days, we always post them on our website. And so folks can go to our website. There's a great link there under news and events to learn more. And then also in January are 2 other important things to recognize. Very important to recognize that January 29th is the National Day of Remembrance of the Quebec mosque attack and action against Islamophobia. I think we can all recognize that the world today seems at times to be even more divisive as ever. And yet we are all human at the core, and we all deserve the right to be who we are, to love who we love, and to practice the religions and faiths that we believe in. So on January 29th, we recognize this National Day of Remembrance, and the solemn day honors the lives lost in the 2017 attack, and again reminds us of the importance of standing together against hate and discrimination. And we will continue as a community, I know, to foster inclusivity, understanding, and respect for all. And on a more positive note, it also is on January 29th, the start of the Lunar New Year for 2025, which is the year of the snake. This is a time of celebration, reflection, and renewal, honoring traditions and spending time with loved ones. And so, as we look ahead, let's embrace opportunities and wisdom this new year brings. And this year, it's also important to wish everyone happiness, prosperity, and good fortune. And finally, and especially to our two students in front of us, where I'm sure this will come as no surprise, reminder to families that we have a district-wide professional day next Friday, the 24th of January. So no school in session for our students. All staff is hard at work doing some learning together. Thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you. That brings any questions or comments? Trustees? No? Secretary Treasurer.
Thank you. I don't have any comments other than the questions of clarification from the public can be emailed to us at board@sd48.bc.ca. And any questions from the public should be related to board agenda items, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the day, at the end of this meeting. That's it.
Okay, that's great. That brings us to the exciting part of our agenda. It's been a while since we've had a presentation, so I'm looking forward to it. Howe Sound Secondary's Sounders Emergency Response Team. So there's a microphone, if you could introduce yourselves.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Dave Dolman. I identify with he, him pronouns. I'm Vice Principal at Howe Sound Secondary School and Cedar Sky Alternate School. And I'm also the first aid attendant at both schools.
Hi, my name is Autumn. I am a grade 12 student at Howe Sound Secondary. I use she, her pronouns, and I have been on the CERT team for about 2 years now.
Hi, my name is Akasha DeSorsi. I go by he, him pronouns, and it's been, I've been on the CERT team for 2 years now as well.
Do we have the slideshow? Can we
Yeah.
switch into that? So I'll just say, first of all, thank you very much to the board for the opportunity for us to speak for a little bit about our initiative here at Howe Sound Secondary School, which is the Sounders Emergency Response Team, or as we like to be known, CERT. Ashi, if you could go to the next slide, please. Actually, we've already done that. So, no, you can leave this. We'll talk about. So this is us three representing our group here tonight. The CERT team is made up of 22 students in total this year. Currently, we have 1 grade 10 student, 11 grade 11 students, and 10 grade 12 students who are part of our team. Next slide, please, Ashi. I'm going to speak just for the first couple of slides to give a bit of an overview, and then I'm going to pass over to these guys because, let's face it, everyone really wants to hear from them, not me. So I'll try to just give you a little bit of an idea. So what is CERT? It's, as the name suggests, we're an emergency response team. It's a student leadership initiative that started last year. So this is our second year running CERT at Howe Sound Secondary School. And it gives students an opportunity to support first aid and emergency management at Howe Sound Secondary School. The reason we started CERT is we're always looking for opportunities for students to become involved and to have some more chances to be leaders in our community, not just in the school community, but in the greater community as well. This is not a completely original idea. I know that a number of schools in the Lower Mainland have student emergency response teams. They don't have as cool a name as us, but so I just thought this would be a great way to support what we're doing. As the first aid officer at the school, I also personally thought it'd be great because a VP is there's a lot of different things happening, but emergencies don't wait for scheduling. So whenever there's a first aid emergency, I'm typically pulled away from whatever else it is that I'm doing. And I thought, you know, we've got so many options here, student leadership, more connection, more opportunities for students, and for me to have other people to be able to support anything that's happening first aid wise. So it was when I announced it last year and put out a little bit of information, I had so many students apply that I had to actually say, sorry, we can't have 55 students in our team. So we had to cut that back a little bit. Now we're at a good place where we have the 22 students, and that's great. So as we continue on, we look at students not only as just being keen in it, but you know, what are their intentions, why would they like to do it? So we have a little bit of an application process where students say why they're doing it. We make sure we obviously want students to be in a good standing academically and with other aspects of school life, so that because it does sometimes take them out of classes and away from other things. So we want to make sure that they're not missing out too much there. At the same time, having the great opportunity to do these kinds of things. So students sign up as volunteers, and then they have rotations of 2 students per week who are on call. We connect with each other through WhatsApp, which is a little bit challenging now that we have a no cell phone policy. However, most of our staff at House Sound understand the importance of the CERT team and that they need to be in contact. And of course, the students are very responsible and know that they're only to use their phones when it's a CERT emergency. So if their phone pings while they're in class, it's usually a CERT call, and they'll typically come down to wherever the location is. All of our members are certified and trained through Canadian Red Cross. Next slide, please, Archie. So our members have a minimum of an intermediate first aid, including CPRC and AED. That's the machine that you see on TV when they shock people with the heart to revive them. We are fortunate enough at the school to have 2 AEDs on the campus, one that's in the main office and one that's in the gymnasium. So it's important for all of our CERT members to be aware of how to use those if and when needed. We're also fortunate that a lot of students already have first aid qualifications through their involvement in other things, some of them school. So our outdoor ed program, all of the students that take that program take wilderness first aid training. So they're very qualified. We have a number of students who are lifeguards, so they have first aid training, and some students who have done advanced babysitting and childcare courses, which includes first aid. And even through the Squamish Nation Education Department, we have some students who are part of the IS Munmun team, and they do some first aid training there to work with the little ones. So some of our students have more than what we need. And in fact, some of the students have the same level of first aid training as the fire departments have. So we're well set with like our level of expertise in first aid. And some of our students require upgrades as well. So what we do is we've used fundraising and grant opportunities to be able to provide first aid training for students who don't already have that. So last year we had about 7 or 8 students who did the training, that we brought someone into the school and did first aid training. And then because that's a grant, as long as the students continue on in the CERT program, then we cover the cost of that training. We also do school-based training and workshops. So we've done workshops on naloxone with our Vancouver Coastal Health nurse, and EpiPens, and the AED, as I spoke about earlier. We've done oxygen, and we do every now and then we do workshops on, like, how do you deal with burns, because in the school site the most common things are cuts in the kitchen and in the workshops, and burns in the kitchen and in the workshops as well, and sometimes in science classes. So they're very common. So we spend some time just going over those again. I would like to hand over to these guys now. So Archie, if you would mind bringing up the next slide, please. Oh, sorry, Archie, can you go back one more? I need to talk about all of the photos quickly. Can we actually go back to the first slide with the photo? All right, I've got to explain that. Yeah, that one there. So this is not a setup. This was a day where we actually had 2 different first aid cases come into our first aid room, and you can see both Akasha and Autumn are there treating different patients, one for a cut, I think, and one for a fall or a headache or something. So I thought that was a good photo to bring in tonight. Okay, next one, please, Archie. I talked about the sponsorship. We were fortunate enough to receive a $2,000 grant from the Mountain Pipeline Project, and that money has gone towards providing the jackets, the CERT jackets that all of our team members wear, which is a PPE protective layer, but it's also identifying, especially in, our CERT students also support all of our emergency drills and so on, so they can be easily identified. And the grant, that grant also has covered some of the training costs for our certification, our first aid certification. Sorry.
So usually a lot of activities that we do is, like Mr. Donovan said, is we're on call for a week. Really rarely we get called to the office because someone's hurt. I think the most, like, the amount of times we've been called down to the office is about 10 for the year. So it's not a whole lot, but a lot of things that we can also do is we will go to local games in town. One of the things is we went to a mountain bike race, and yeah, that was one of the photos there. We have also gone to rugby games in town, and then also a basketball game tournament as well. Just kind of sitting there waiting to see if something happens. The most we really got was a couple ice packs, maybe like a couple cuts. But Josh, who was in this photo, was at the bottom of the hill, and he got quite a lot of first aid calls. Cash and I were at the top, so we kind of told people where to go, and Josh got to do some stuff, which is pretty cool. So apparently he was pretty swamped. We also have the responsibility of having to keep inventory and upkeep of our supplies. So if we're on call for a week, we will have to just count everything, make sure we have enough of like Band-Aids and stuff, which we have a lot, and make sure it's very organized as well.
Yep, that's definitely something you were very, Autumn here is very, very keen about, always reorganizing our first aid cabinet we have. But yeah, I'd say the CERT program, at least from my perspective, is an amazing opportunity for us students. In the cases of, for example, me, my goal is to hopefully become a paramedic in the years after I graduate high school. and then hopefully, fingers crossed, get into UBC to further on my education and become a cardiothoracic surgeon. So I'd say, right out the gate from high school, being like, hey, I have some experience in this it's a great opportunity. It's a great thing, honestly. I really enjoy it. I know Autumn really enjoys it. Josh really enjoyed it on that day. I can say us not so much. That hike was not fun.
Straight up.
Straight up. Straight up. But yeah, this is definitely a very awesome program. Autumn, would you like to talk about your goals?
I'm doing this program because I want to become a nurse one day. My goals further on for my career is become a nurse practitioner. My mother is a nurse, and so I strive after her, but I would really love to be a nurse one day. So I think this is a great opportunity to kind of see, can I handle blood? Can I handle people whining and crying? So I think it's a pretty cool opportunity. It's also just gives you an opportunity to kind of reach out to your community and be like, hey, I can do this. Do you want me to volunteer? Do you want me to come and teach maybe? I think that'd be a really good opportunity to go to elementary schools and teach a little bit. But I think it's just a cool program to kind of expand your circle of people in your community as well.
Not to mention, this is a fashion statement. Not to mention, people see you coming in the hallways. It's amazing. Everyone just merges over. It's pristine.
All right, thanks. Actually, I think we're ready for the next slide. Just on that photo with Josh, he was at the bottom there. This was at the school's provincial mountain bike championships that took place in Squamish last May, I believe it was. And we had, I think, most of our CERT team up there at various stations around the place. It was a very wet and muddy day. So there were a lot of spills. So Josh, who was down the bottom, and another student, they had a lineup of people who needed attention. I just also want to comment about something these guys said, which was about, are they able to deal with the blood and so on? Autumn, I think, said we don't actually have that many emergencies and first aid emergencies, but when we do, we need to react, quickly and in the correct way. And I want to just say that these guys with their patient care is unbelievable, knowing what to do. That training kicks in straight away. They've always got the right questions and they'll tell the principal where she should be when there's a first aid emergency. On that, I just want to say as well, if anyone's wondering about concerns about students dealing with high-level first aid emergencies, potentially, a bigger situation, there is a law in Canada called the Good Samaritan Law, and that is if anyone tries to render first aid assistance to someone in need, they can never be held liable for anything that didn't go right. So that's one of the protections we have in place for our students. The second one is that students are always working with a staff member. So even if I'm not there, Miss Boisvert, the principal, or another staff member, we have a secondary and a third first aid officer would be there as well, and the students would make the recommendations, but they're always going through a staff member to verify it. So they're not going to just go and say, oh yeah, by the way, I called an ambulance for this student here. They would verify that with a staff member before that happens. Okay, back to you guys.
There are participation benefits with this program. When you do this CERT program, you do get 2 credits per year, which I think is pretty nice. It's pretty hard to get 80 credits to graduate, especially if you're pretty busy. So I think an extra 2 credits goes quite a long way. We also get reimbursement of our training costs. So through the program, we do not have to pay for our training, which is very nice because it is quite expensive. I did my program through the outdoor ed program, and so I did have to pay for that. But Kasha did his through the SORT program, and it was very free. It was readily available, which I think is pretty cool because it can be hard for some people to get that amount of money for them because they're upwards of like over $200. So I think that's pretty sweet. We have a lot of the things that we do, our certifications are valid for usually 3 years. Such as the BLS, AED, and CPR. That's all valid for 3 years. And then it depends what first aid course you take. My wilderness is valid for 4 years. And then
I believe mine is 3 years. I have basic first aid and CPR, AED qualifications as well, just the base one. Intermediate, is it? Okay, well, that's good to know. Yeah, I think earlier, I believe I said just, but especially about the resume builder or preparation for future careers. Jumped the gun on that one, too excited, you know, got to get it out, got to get it out. But yeah, especially as Autumn said, getting the qualifications through the school, that was amazing. I'm sure my mom really enjoyed getting groceries instead of spending $200 on qualification instead, because well, we all know that can be expensive nowadays. I'm pretty sure you talked about the 2 credits. I did want to talk about also, I'm not sure if you have it on. No, I think this is the last slide, eh? You also get a wonderful amount of volunteer hours, which is very helpful, again, with resumes, with university applications. I believe we got, you said,
Credits?
volunteer hours.
Well, yeah, so the credits that the students get is for volunteer hours. So once they've hit a certain number of hours. Sorry. Once they've hit a certain number of hours, they receive those credits. So these 2 lovely students here are actually getting 4 credits because last year they did enough. And this year I'm sure they will be getting 4 credits because I'm sure they're going to have built up enough volunteer hours to receive the 4 credits for it. And just on the other benefits, we also have kind of noticed that a few students have used their qualifications for summer jobs as well. So if they want to work at a camp as a camp counselor, if they want to do babysitting, if they want to do other roles where a first aid qualification could be seen as beneficial, and that's helped them in that way as well. So lots of benefits for students. But the biggest beneficiaries are our school community, because the people that come down know that there's always going to be someone there, you know, straight away. We've had a couple of more serious emergencies, and, you know, we've had the right care there straight away, and people have felt confident in that. The students also are part of helping with when we have emergency drills, earthquake, fire drills. Later in the year, we're going to be having a first aid drill according to the new policy. So I'm excited about setting up these scenarios and having students involved in that.
I didn't know about that. That sounds fun.
More to come.
Yeah.
So I think that's the end of our presentation. If anybody has any questions, I'm sure I'm going to leave it to these guys as much as possible. But if anyone has any questions or comments, we'll welcome you.
I see Lisa's hands up.
I would just like to commend you all. Emergency preparedness, first aid is so critical and so important, and the aspirations and goals that you guys have set for yourself is, I'm really proud. I'm so glad we got to see this presentation by you guys. What you got, the program you've put in place is so commendable and should be duplicated as often as possible. Yeah, amazing work, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Thank you so much for coming today. I'm in charge of actually the health and safety for the whole school district. So I'm so happy to hear that you're doing this, and I'm so happy to hear about the first day drill that's coming too. So I'm excited, when you plan it, if you can fill me in and let me know how that goes. I'd love to hear all about it. And I'm really excited about this program that you guys have put together. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so
And
much.
Archie's our first aid attendant for this office. So there's another one in the room.
Just going to be asking us for a red jacket, I think.
I was gonna say, yeah, we can get the jacket, yeah.
Actually, if you ever want to come and join any of our CERT meetings, you're very welcome.
Quick question. Yeah, thank you for this. I wasn't aware of this program and I really appreciate it. I think it's fabulous. And I'm just so excited to hear about, how you're making connections to what you've learned and things that you want to do after you graduate. And it's a beautiful thing. What I'm curious about is, do you know of other, it sounds unique to me. Is this something that is common in other schools that we know of?
It's not common as far as I know, but I do know a couple of other schools have programs. There's maybe a little bit different, but they do have students who act as first aid attendants. I know of 2 other schools in the Lower Mainland that do it. There's probably more, but it's not a very common thing. I think and I'd seen it at one school and I thought it was a great program, mainly for the students and the opportunity for the students. So I thought, that was where the start of it came from. I was like, we have lots of great leadership opportunities for our students, and I thought, why not bring another one in for them?
Well, clearly with 50 students who wanted to sign up at the beginning, there's an untapped engagement factor there. And I was just thinking too, there might be an opportunity for you as students to at some point go talk to some other school groups and tell them about your experience and maybe inspire some other schools to follow suit and do something similar.
Definitely. I do feel like I said, as a student myself, having this way to kind of experience what I want to do in the future, just have that little bit of, familiarity or just anything towards what I want to do was, it felt very inclusive and just very nice. Yeah.
I'll just mention, thank you for exemplifying, right? That's so important to connect real world learning in school and for lifelong learning. And I think that's something that I know as a district, we'd love to see more of. So, if you have any more ideas, let us know. And Mr. Dahlman now knows that he will probably be asked to present at a district meeting with all of our schools, because I think you're really helping to lead the way with innovation and showing that when students have choice and are engaged in activities and learning that they see value in, we've got them. Because I suspect that you're probably seeing connections and other things that you're learning. Like, I don't know, if you're taking biology, for example, now, I see a connection now between physiology, right, and the work we're doing, especially if you're both interested in medicine. So anytime we can support real world learning, I think that's so important. And of course, the contribution back to community is huge. And whether you know it or not, you are leaders in your school and in your community now, and that's how you're viewed, and not just because of the jackets. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The jackets don't hurt.
It's pretty nice.
They're pretty cool. So, as board chair, I always get to go last and everyone steals my thunder. But I do have a couple of things that I wouldn't mind saying. You've heard us already, but I have to say it again. Like, I'm super, super impressed. You are very well spoken, and I have no doubt that you'll succeed in whatever you decide to pursue. And very proud of to say that you're from the Sea to Sky School District, so that's fantastic. Couple of questions, just out of curiosity, because I've done some of this training too. Do you carry EpiPens and naloxone kits and and stuff like in your first aid kits?
So I unfortunately don't carry any EpiPens or naloxone in my personal first aid kit, but at our school, we do have a couple things of naloxone and a couple things of EpiPens as well.
No, okay.
In the
In the
first
first aid room, yeah.
yes.
Okay. I know quite a few people now, like myself included, I keep a naloxone kit in my car and stuff.
Mhm.
But I also had a hard time in the training, just even sticking a needle into an orange. So,
Oh, yeah. No, I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
And the other thing is, did you design the program in its entirety or?
I did, yes. Again, not a completely original idea. I know some other schools that have similar programs, but I came up with, like I floated the name to a few people and that's what we landed on. Worked out well, I think. And then just the kind of how we're going to manage it and how we're going to organize it all. That's I came up with. And there's a little bit of, I don't know if you picked up on it. Part of it is selfish because I'm like, I need some help with management of this, like the inventory when we're doing emergency drills to have, students be able to bring out the emergency supplies and so even when we have, for example, a teacher going on a field trip, they always take a first aid kit. So the CERT students get a list of who is going out on a field trip and they'll prepare their first aid kit so that the teacher on the first aid kit doesn't get there. They open it up. Oh, there's no Band-Aids left because the last field trip had an accident and, whatever it is. So just for me personally, that's been a great help. But yes, to go back to your question, I came up with the idea based on what I've seen at other schools, but also seeing like the, potential for it in our school and hopefully in our district.
Tailored to your needs there,
Yes.
right? That's great. And also win-win.
Yeah.
Lisa, I see your hands up.
Sorry, took a second there. Just to segue on some of that, I think some of those ideas about you helping teach the other schools and other districts is an amazing idea. But also one of the things I'd like to know is how else can we support you? So amazing initiative, amazing program, having been in a lot of first aid and emergency response stuff myself, like this is an amazing segue into life. It's impressive. So is there anything from either staff or students that we as a board you would like us to be supporting you with?
I'll let you guys think about it because I have an idea. I would say awareness, if you have the opportunity to talk to other people, because some of the things that we're involved in, which I think is probably the most interesting for the students, are the community events. So, for example, the mountain bike race, there was a junior rugby jamboree that took place at Don Ross, organised by the Squamish Youth Axemen Club, and being there and, little kids fall over and hurt their head and have a concussion assessment or whatever it is. And the other community events that we've been involved in, they've been like real life experience beyond just the school, which has been fantastic. So if you have opportunities to say, hey, House Sound's got this program, and if there's an event coming up, we're always looking for events because it helps the students with their volunteer hours as well. So that would be a support that everyone could help us with for sure. I don't know
If I may, you may want to reach out to the District of Squamish through the Visitor Management Coordinator. They may have some opportunities. They have a really awesome roundtable with all the organizations within the District of Squamish to facilitate visitor management. So that might be one amazing segue in, and you could even potentially have students engaged in those meetings, which would give you a new dynamic and perspective for student learning. So if you've got more of the political minded students that are on the committee as on your group as well. But anyway, I could brainstorm all day long and I don't need to get into your weeds because you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you for that. We'll look into it.
Hey, is there anyone else who wanted to add in? Hey, well, I guess thank you very much for taking the time and
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you bet. Anytime.
And I want to say a special thank you to Autumn and Akasha for being, I knew when I said, hey, how would you guys like to come and speak to the board about CERT? I knew straight away they'd be in. Of course they were. Our PAC has also asked us, so we had a PAC meeting last night and I didn't mention anything about what we're doing tonight. The PAC chair at the end of the meeting said, hey, would you like to get a couple of CERT students and present to our PAC at the next meeting? And I said, well, we've got a ready to go presentation. So, and of course, as soon as I asked these guys, they were without batting an eyelid, they were like, yep, we're in. So thank you. And thank you to you guys. Thank you.
You are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you would. Oh, thank you. Thanks.
A great program. You guys are being on the way out.
Mr. Dolman, thank you again for your leadership in this. Skating this drawing. Thank you.
Bye.
The bar has been set.
Yeah. Wait.
That's all good. Great idea.
So that we can start working first. Yeah.
Bert. I like it. That's great.
That's phenomenal. That's so great.
Yeah.
Really good. Wow.
Okay, so we'll continue on. We had, where's my agenda? So next we have up the board committees, or do we have any trustee items? First off. See or hear anyone, so we can move on to item 7, which is board committees. Earlier today, we had a committee of the whole meeting, and under this section, we cover off. It is recorded for anyone who would like to see if they missed the earlier session. Items that we discuss are things like our upcoming events and our trustee calendar, our community appointments for the balance of the for the next year. We had a lengthy discussion and have a recommendation that is being brought forward to the BC School Trustees Association Provincial Council motion. And then we had an update on the Squamish Elementary easement. And discussion on an upcoming partner group meeting, which will be happening next month, I think on the February 19th, I believe is what it is. And with that, there is a set of minutes for a recommendation.
That the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on December 11th, 2024 be accepted.
Thank you, Lisa. Second for that. You, Cynthia. All those in favor? Okay, and that's carried. The policy committee met earlier today as well. We looked at our policy review schedule, and we did have a couple of policies that we will be addressing later in this agenda. And so with that, and again, this is also recorded and available online for anyone who would wish to see the meeting in its entirety. With that, there is a recommendation.
That the minutes of the policy committee meeting held on December 11th, 2024 be adopted.
Thank you, Lisa. Second for that. Somebody, thank you. What's your name again? Good question. Thank you, Melissa. All those in favor? And that's carried. Finance Committee did not meet today. So that brings us to our Public Relations, Community Engagement and Communications Committee. And that is Celeste and Rachel. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I'll report out on that today. Thanks, Rebecca.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. So the Public Relations Committee met earlier today to discuss the Budget Development Survey and our upcoming partner group meeting. We've made changes to our engagement process over several years, utilizing feedback from our partner groups to ensure that the information gathered through our annual Budget Development Survey and partner group meeting accurately reflects the diverse perspectives within our community. Our aim is always to ensure that resource allocation is done in a fair and equitable manner. We would not be able to do this without the invaluable feedback of our partners. As a result of careful changes made by staff over several years, we've seen a substantial increase in engagement. This year, we had 311 respondents to our budget development survey, up almost 40% from last year's total of 223 respondents. Our analytics show that email is by far the most effective means of seeking engagement, with far more direct clicks received than through either social media or via our website. I'd like to thank our staff for their continued work on ensuring that partner group and public feedback is an integral part of our budget development process. I'd also like to thank our partners for their continued engagement in this annual process. Keep providing us with feedback, and we'll keep refining the process every year. We look forward to seeing everyone on February 19th. And the invitations have already gone out for the partner group meeting. For anyone that is expecting one, if you haven't received it, please reach out to staff.
Okay, thank you, Celeste. Any questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, then we can move on to item 8, our general section. So we don't have any business arising. So item B, information items. So the 2025-2026 student registration process and Mr. Lorette.
Okay, thanks. So this is just to let the board know, as hard as it is to believe, we are already starting to prepare for next year. And so next week on Tuesday, the 21st, our registration process opens for families who are registering for September. And this typically is new kindergarten students, French immersion students who are new to our district. Because of course, if you're already registered in a program, you don't have to register again for the following year. It's automatic. So the process, just as a reminder, there's a web form that serves as a pre-registration piece, and that opens on the 21st on Tuesday. It will be open for the entire week until Friday. And this is a way for us to gather information on who's registering so that we can determine priority order for placement. Then after the Friday, parents and guardians make appointments to go into the school to complete their registrations in person through providing the necessary documents that are all listed on our website. And that is essentially the process for registering for September. And of course, families will continue to register as they move into the community directly at the school. This week, 3 meetings were held in the district. They were information sessions for parents and guardians on our French immersion programs. So Monday night, there was a meeting here in Squamish at Eagle Eye Theater. And on Tuesday evening, meetings were held in Whistler for the Whistler French immersion programs, and in Pemberton at Signal Hill for the French immersion program at Signal Hill. And that's it. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, I don't see any, but I have one.
Okay.
So do we anticipate any especially with kindergarten, any enrollment issues we're gonna have to enforce catchment or?
Well, at this time, we don't really have a lot of information on projections.
Mhm. That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking about
that,
projections.
we're still awaiting information from our demographer, which
Mhm.
we are hoping to receive any day. And then in the next couple of weeks, our principals and admin team will be submitting their projections for next year. So we'll have a little more insight on that probably at our next board meeting.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. It's curious because sometimes when we get to the enrollment stage, we're already anticipating
Right.
push. So
It often depends on just the timing of this board meeting and our projections and other notice. So we're just a little bit early, as Paul said. So
Yeah.
February, we should have.
okay, holding you to it
Yeah.
next month. All right. Well, you're up for the next one too, Paul. Implementation Day.
Right. Yeah, so we just wanted to make sure the board and the public were well aware that coming up in February 14th, very special day for many reasons. We will have our district implementation day. It's a day that is set aside each year as a non-instructional day so that we can work with staff and have a focus on learning about Indigenous education and how we can strengthen our organization in terms of student learning. And so we wanted to let you know that this year on the 14th, there are going to be 2 venues for the day. Our staff who work in Pemberton and Whistler will be attending a venue in Pemberton for the North. And that session is going to focus on Lillooet language and culture. And folks who work in Squamish will be attending a session here in Squamish at Don Ross. By the way, the session in Pemberton will be at Pemberton Secondary. And the focus down in Squamish will be a Squamish focus. In Pemberton, we have Seth San, who will be facilitating the day, to Herb George. And again, the focus will be on Lillooet language and culture. And in Squamish, we've been working with the Squamish Nation. There is work being done to lift up some of our staff, our shared learning staff through ceremony. And so that's going to be a really wonderful experience for the morning. And in the afternoon, there are going to be some breakout sessions where staff will have an opportunity to choose different cultural learnings to attend in the afternoon. And again, this day is for all staff. So it's teachers, support staff, custodians, bus drivers, grounds folks, so and trustees, of course, are we hope that you are able to make it because it's going to be a very special day.
I think so far we have Cynthia is confirmed for Don Ross and I'm confirmed for Pemberton Secondary.
Perfect.
But I think there were a couple other trustees that were going to try and make it work.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah.
And can I just make a slight addition? And I appreciate, thank you for sharing everything that we're doing. It's super excited and we'll be fighting, staff will be fighting which one to go to because we want to split ourselves in 2 and go to both. But I wanted to mention, I think you had mentioned the focus was Lillooet culture, but that time will be sure to include. Thank you.
Yes, my mistake. As I was saying it, I knew I was. This isn't right. This isn't right.
I thought she might have. I don't. So
it was on my list. I'm like, it's still Stallion language as far as I'm concerned.
That's right. Yeah, my apologies. Yeah, it's a little broader than.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah.
And then, guys, confirm in the south, it'll be at Don Ross.
The South we are at Don Ross. That's right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe I should, I think it's an 8:30 start. Do you want trustee or the chair or vice chair saying anything, or we can just participate, which I prefer, but but I'll do whatever.
Yeah, that's a good question because of the co-planning with the nations.
Let them lead.
Yeah, we'll let them.
That's
Well,
what I would,
yeah.
that's what I would think.
That's right.
So if they ask, then no problem.
Mhm.
Or I will be prepared if called upon
Right.
while there. So
Right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
just
perfect.
wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks like that might be it. I don't see any other hands up. So thank you for that, Paul. Next we have budget update. Danielle?
Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted to give everybody a quick update, yes, on the amended budget. So yesterday, we just found out that the ministry is giving us our grant funding tables, but they're not giving them to us until January 27th. So that doesn't give school districts very much time to update their budgets. We usually have a month or 2 months to prepare, and this only gives us 2 weeks. Yeah, so it's very tight for us. So I just wanted to give the trustees a heads up. We're gonna do our best to complete for the next board meeting. But if it's not possible, we'll have to call a special board meeting to pass the budget bylaw. So hopefully we don't have to do that. But we'll just have to see once we enter the numbers, how the budget looks. Stay tuned. Any questions on that at all?
Don't see any. Great. That brings us to, where are we? Quarterly financial report. Helena? Yes,
She will be projecting the slide
absolutely.
and I will.
Did I say it right?
How's your name pronounced?
Helena.
Helena?
I think I say it different every single time.
It's Comish.
Good job.
Well done.
Archie, could you please show this? It's just one page. You will are very familiar with it. It's our regular quarterly update. This is the second quarter. Quick snapshot of our financial results that covers the beginning of the year through the December 31st. And second quarter, unlike all other quarters, due in December, which is the last month of the quarter, is a full estimate. But we usually do our best to estimate. So this second quarter of 24-25 year shows all transactions from the beginning of the year through December 31st, 2024. And is broken into 3 funds: operating fund, special purpose fund, and capital fund. There are also columns on the right that shows comparison to annual budget, the one that was adopted in June for 24-25. And a percentage of the year-to-date expenses to annual budget. And the far right column is a prior year, same period transactions, just to compare quarter 2 of this year to quarter 2 of last year to see where we are trending. Operating fund is a fund where all the instructions, expenditures are covered, facilities maintenance, transportation. And this is a fund where maybe a deficit. This fund may have deficit, but the deficit must be not to not exceed the available accumulated operating surplus. As long as it's covered by available operating surplus, accumulated operating surplus, the deficit is allowed. Provincial grants in the second quarter was 25 million, 25.7 million, and it includes resident school age students. Local educational agreement, 541,000. This is our Lillooet or Scotland, Lillooet Nation. Lillooet agreement. International tuition fees, this is international student tuition fee revenue, 916,000. It's a little bit lower than we had the same period of last year, even so the enrollment for this year budgeted approximately the same FTE of international students than last year, but I looked into that and it appeared to be timing difference comparing like first semester versus second semester of enrollments. So we are planning to catch up for the year. Other fees and contributions include non-restricted school generated funds, a non-capital portion of annual facility grant, donations, agreements with other school districts like Kalakum and Francophone districts, and some other miscellaneous fees. It's 1,549,000. Rentals and leases are 235,000, and investment income. Oh, I'm sorry. Rental and leases are 235,000, and investment income 286,000. The total operating fund revenue 29.2 million. And expenditure for that fund there are 24.7 million salaries, wages, and benefits, and 4.9 million of supplies and services for the total of 29.6 million of total expenditures in operating fund. Operating fund deficit is 373,000, and it's covered by accumulated surplus. Special purpose fund is fund that revenues are given to the school district for special purposes. And this fund normally doesn't have neither surplus nor deficit because all revenues are recognized only when corresponding expenditures are incurred. So once we spend money, we recognize a revenue. So the remaining amount of given funds are deferred until spent. So the total, don't see from there very well. The total revenue of special purpose fund for 2 quarters was 1.7 million and
No, special purpose funds is.
sorry, 4.1 million, and expenditures for salaries and wages 3.2 million and 0.9 million services and supplies. The biggest part of salaries and benefits for the special purpose fund is classroom enhancement fund. Capital fund revenues are represented by amortization of deferred capital revenue or provincial contributions to our capital funds, and it was 1.7 million. And expenditures on capital fund amortization of our capital assets, which are 2.1 million for the deficit, and this fund 328,000. Capital fund is the only fund where deficit is allowed because it's a reflection of our capital transactions. The total revenues 35.2 million, and total expenditures for all 3 funds is 35.9 million. Total current year deficit is 701 million. Comparing to the same period of last year, it's 1,058,000 deficit, and comparing to the annual budget is 566,000 deficit was budgeted in annual budget. So comparison of the second quarter results compare favorably both to first quarter of this year and to the same period of last year. So we are trending to be more likely to show stronger results, and the district closely monitor expenditures and aim to stay within the budget and also to meet cumulative surplus policy requirements. So we are working currently on amended budget. So these amounts that are shown, the comparison column of annual budget, they will change. But it may mean that we may not need big use of budget surplus, but we will know better later. This in February. That's all. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions? I have one, but I don't know if it's necessarily for you, but it's based on that. So I'm wondering what the Lilloit LEA amount of 541,000. So what does that go towards?
Speak to that. I know you've been working really hard on.
Yeah, for sure.
Piece.
So with the LEA, what that means is that for each student that's a Lilloit student, the funding goes directly to the nation now. And so
okay.
instead of the ministry, we're not getting from the ministry, we're
Yeah.
getting them from the nation.
Right, okay, because I was saying, I
Yeah.
didn't think we received additional funding.
No.
For that, so that's why I was confused, but now that makes sense. Okay, thank you. That's all I had. I don't see anyone else, so thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye. Okay, so next up, there are attachments there. There's no correspondence. No items for discussion. And that brings us to policy motions that I mentioned earlier. So the first policy is policy 109, environmental sustainability. Again, there was some in-depth discussion on this as it was presented to us during the policy meeting. And if you're interested, it is recorded and available on the website. And outcome from that is there is a recommendation. I don't think we need to get into the whole policy.
No, I think I will just add that I don't know if you mentioned the first one will go out for impact. I think you did. So we're looking forward for input from families and staff and community members. And then for our amendments to the code of conduct, schools will be also in communication with.
Can we just?
Sorry, did I miss?
No. I didn't say anything about impact because it's in the actual recommendation.
Okay.
So if we can finish that and then we'll get into the next.
Thank you.
Item.
Jumped the gun.
That's okay. Thank you. So there's a recommendation there, DA.
That the Board of Education grants an approval to send draft policy 109, environmental sustainability for the public impact process.
Thank you, Cynthia. Second for that. Thank you, Rachel. All those in favor? And that's carried. So the next policy we have is policy 503, district student code of conduct. Again, we reviewed this earlier during our policy meeting and a recommendation came from that. And Mr. Superintendent, you want to add?
Sorry, I was
That's
locked
fine.
with a different thought. So I just wanted to share with families, with the public, that schools will be sending out communications to school communities about some of the adjustments made around the use of personal educational devices that folks have been waiting for. And district will also obviously be following up. We will have some communication on our website, and students and staff should soon be able to see some posters going up in schools for easily understood by students at various age levels in terms of some of the new rules and restrictions going forward to ensure everybody has a opportunity to learn and take care of each other as we do so. So more to come. Thank you.
I think I'll add one little piece that this is just a reminder and for the public interest that this is a mandate from the Minister of Education that we're following and required to do. And there was a review done by our superintendent and his staff as to what's happening throughout the province with like-sized districts or close by or a whole cross mix. And this tends, our policy tends to be in the same realm as the balancing. So with that, there is a recommendation. Oh, Celeste?
Yeah, I just had one quick comment on this one. We normally have a review schedule for our policies that is a longer interval, but for this one, we'll be reviewing it again later on in this year. So just for the public to be aware that we are paying close attention to the impact that this is having in our schools, and we'll be reviewing it again soon.
Thank you for that, Celeste. Okay, recommendation?
That the Board of Education approve the updated policy 503 district student code of conduct with changes as discussed and changes as presented.
Thank you, Rachel. Second for that. Thank you, Cynthia. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you for the hard work on that one. No, it's been a road. So next up, we have E, action items. And as mentioned earlier, this is the BCSTA Provincial Council motion. And I don't know, Danielle, do you want to add something into that? Your name's there. Because the discussion for this is also recorded and available on the website.
Yeah, feel free to take a look at that if the public's interested. We will be submitting a motion to BCSTA for the provincial council, which I believe is in February. So that will be discussed. If the motion's approved, it will be discussed at the provincial council meeting in February.
Okay. There's a recommendation.
That the Board of Education send a motion to the BCSTA Provincial Council advocating to cease the exploration of allowing non-voting student delegates at the BCSTA annual general meetings.
Thank you, Rachel. Second for that. Thank you, Cynthia. All those in favor? And that is carried. We don't have any items to be brought out of camera, no bylaws. That brings us to questions of clarification from the public as it pertains to items from this agenda. Quick peek.
Nothing there.
Nothing there. Okay. Okay, with that, then we have completed the business of this agenda, and it is 7:17 and we are adjourned.